Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Reality Decoded. In this video, I actually want to cover two topics, light workers and light warriors. And from this video, I actually hope that you gain some insight into these powerful beings and whether you are actually classified as one of these two. And it'll actually shed some light because these beings have been completely sent here to help with the greater good. The greater good. Well, let's go exploring. Let me first say, although there might not be scientific evidence that backs this up, I, and too many people that I know of, so much so in fact, that all of us actually end up sharing common symptoms of these types. Common destinies, common life experiences, tragedies, all of it. It seems to be written within our linear life path. So what is a light worker? The simplest way to describe what a light worker is would be they are a series of beings whose entire fiber, okay, is being pulled towards like helping others. They're commonly called things like star seeds, indigo children, crystal babies, earth angels, star seeds. These beings actually sign what are called soul contracts and volunteer to come down to be like beacons for others, okay? And they commit their entire lives to serving humanity and the greater good. The greater good. These beings often have like a heightened sense of compassion and kindness towards other beings and animals and everything like that. They usually rescue a lot of animals. I know a lot of my friends who do that a lot. But it seems that the basic premise of a light worker is the alleviation of pain and suffering from others. They tend to be extremely sensitive and empathic. Hence, a lot of them are constantly dealing with sadness and anguish and depression because it just dwells in the world that we live in. This is a dense, third-dimensional vibrational frequency that we live in. It's very heavy. These light workers actually tend to choose professions that are among the humanitarian aids. Therapy, nursing, rehabilitation, any sort of healing, caregiving, caretakers for the elderly, hospice care, veterinary service, helping animals, helping, living beings out of duress and distress. The ultimate givers, these people are. They are extremely intuitive and driven right by their gut brain, okay? And so much so to the fact that if you ask them, you can actually find out that they feel what other people are feeling. And from this ability, they are actually able to harness and direct their powers to the beings that they feel need it most. This comes with the downside, though, a major downside. Just like Bilbo and Frodo wearing the ring in Lord of the Rings and in The Hobbit, if you are a light worker or a light warrior, every moment of every day of every moment of now, you shine like a beacon of light, okay, in the spiritual world. And there are constantly people and other entities and beings that gravitate towards your light because it's like moths to flames. But not all light workers actually realize their spiritual nature right off the bat. Sometimes it takes a lifetime of experience and what I like to call spiritual hardening or spiritual purifying. You have to go through the fire of life in order to achieve the temperance of you that is the mineral or the metal that is being refined. Most of these light workers don't sense that they are a light worker, but they do always seem to have the internal connection and compulsion to want to help others. And it is through the realization that you have this, fiber of every part of your being that wants to help others. It is through that realization that confirms that you are indeed a light worker. And it often takes a great deal of meditation and psychic influence from other light workers in order for a light worker to understand what it is that is their soul's purpose on this plane. Sometimes a lot of them don't even realize it. They just go through their life doing good for others. And given the fact that they're also faced with the same material lessons and everything else that humans are faced with, that is another factor as to why it takes so long for some light workers to be able to blossom. How do you know whether you are a light worker? Well, that's a very good question. You can only really ever find the answer through true introspection, asking yourself, but what am I? What purpose do I serve? And light workers are sets of beings that are driven by a deeply felt desire to serve others and help others, to teach, to uplift, to enlighten, I learned at a very young age my life's purpose, And that was, if I could alleviate somebody else's suffering through one of 4 ways, health, wealth, enlightenment, or knowledge, I would do it. I would do it. And that has been the basic premise of my entire life's motives. Whether it be me enacting righteous fury on somebody who has done me or somebody else wrong, or whether it be me going out of my way to give somebody who has earned it their praise. Lightworkers are blessed with intuitive gifts. You just know things. You know things about other people. It feels like you know their deepest, darkest secrets, like you can read them like a book. You don't know how you know this, but you know it. You know it because you can sense energy shifts in the electromagnetism of everything that is around us. Specifically pain, sorrow, anguish, all those negative emotions. They are what Alan Watts describes as prickly goo. Sometimes you gotta be gooey, like water, in order to absorb and conform to the container that you're going into. And sometimes you need to be prickly in order to get stuff done. When you are resistant to change because you know something is a bad idea, that's being prickly goo. Another extremely strong indicator that you are indeed a light worker is a deep divine connection with all living beings. And you understand the deep sanctity of life and how we as a species still can't create life, but we can certainly destroy it. Lightworkers understand that we must strive and fight together for a better society. Do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. Lightworkers understand that we are all soul mirrored reflections of each other. The things that we do to other people come back to us in the form of karmic waves on top of that ocean of consciousness with which we all reside on as the energetic crests that are the waves on top of this ocean. So if you've ever wondered whether you are a light worker, there's your answer. And if you are a light worker, welcome to the family. If you are indeed sure that you are a light worker, I'll actually go ahead and make another video about the different crafts and professions that light workers are actually best suited for. Let me know in the comments down below if y'all think that's a good idea. For now, let's move on to the next subject of light warriors. We previously mentioned about light workers and how they are a specific set of people who have the deep-seated calling to alleviate pain and anguish and to help humanity as a whole, help life as a whole. But a light warrior is something that is a little bit higher than that. And even then I hesitate describing it like this because I'm not meaning to portray it in a hierarchical structure. That's not what this is all about. But the differences between a light worker and a light warrior is that a light worker is somebody who just came to terms with their spiritualism and awakening, while a light warrior has already been a light worker and they are now like on the next level. They report directly to beings like Archangel Michael and the Christ consciousness and that kind of stuff. They are the ones who restore and fight to keep balance in this world between good and evil. We fight for consciousness, for healing, for ultimate truth, okay? And connection of all humankind to their spirit. And it's rumored that we work with the protection of the 3 kingdoms. Those 3 kingdoms being the kingdom of man, the angelic kingdom, or the nature or elemental kingdom. If you would like, I could actually do a separate video on that. Leave me a comment below if you would like that idea too. Some common symptoms of knowing you are a light warrior. You are like a naturally gifted leader. You are an extremely persuasive speaker. You are a powerful motivator. And you have the divine masculine energy to like take charge and lead the way. You have that 4th and 5th dimensional view, okay? That vision that allows you to visualize a bright future for your people and to be able to manipulate the chess steps in order to get there. I call that reverse engineering thought. These beings like to come in and shake things up because when things are stagnant, it's because they've been like encrusted in mud. So these beings, these light warriors come in and they just shake everything up and knock all of the dust and the cobwebs and the spiders and everything off, which is why they cause such a conundrum. A lot of times these people are considered what's called a 5. Never become a 5 for the record, because there's always a bigger fish coming to take you out. Let that be a lesson. Don't ever be a 5. It's okay to be a 4 all you want to. The world's not ready for 5s yet. So the main differences between the two is that the light worker resonates mainly with the divine feminine caretaker nurturer energy, whilst the light warrior will resonate mainly with the divine masculine protector energy. Light warriors often do the same things that light workers do, just on an elevated level. They differ only ever so slightly. Like, they may use diplomacy versus compassion in order to get things through. They might be bluntly honest in nature, but that also leaves no room for anonymity in words, okay? Your intentions with people. They say what they mean and they mean what they say. A lot of the light warriors that I've ever come across are actually earth signs, but these beings offer encouragement in the words of the places that they're shaken up, you know what I mean? These beings, these light warriors often speak of like universal truth and talking about things like how truth does not care about your opinion. It's your ego that has let you think that there is a separation between you and that idea, and thus when that idea is not according to what your preconceived notion says it is, your ego is like being stabbed and everybody goes, "Et tu, Brute?" But realize that you are not your ego. It's often rumored that these light warriors are actually apt in removing curses and dispelling negative energy, being energy transducers. These beings often talk about having a suit of like spiritual armor. What's amazing is you can find reference to the spiritual armor in the book of Corinthians of the Bible, which will actually be one of the last things I touch on in this introductory video of the difference between light warriors and light workers. If we can remember correctly from Corinthians, there is something described as called the armor of God. I believe it says, "Put on your full armor of God, so that way you can take your stand against the devil's schemes," in reference to good and evil. For our struggles are not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, or of divine source, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to completely stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand firm then with the belt of truth, with the breastplate of righteousness, knowing your inner divine soul, your intuition, and with your feet fitted with the readiness of the message of the word, of the understanding that you are a being that is here to help with the greater good. You are a light worker, you are a light warrior. Then take up the shield of faith, which just means defend what you are believing in, with which you can extinguish all of the flaming arrows of the evil ones, which is like their words, their vile words. You know how we talked about how to kill a big dream is you tell it to a small-minded person? That's that. Then put on the helmet of salvation, meaning you are saved, you are assured in your thought process that you know what it is you know to be true and of the highest of truths. And you lived this truth, which is your word of God or of source or whatever you want to call it. That's what that Bible phrase means. So whether you are a light warrior or whether you are a light worker, we all need to stand firm and to put on our spiritual armor. We all have this spiritual armor. So I encourage you all to look this stuff up. If you liked the video, leave me a comment down below. And if you have any future video tips, leave me a comment down below. I love getting to do this, and now that I have a proper setup, it is no trouble at all for me to whip these up. So until next time, I'm Vanderhorst. This is Reality Decoded. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being part of my spiritual family. I'll see you next time.